America's darkest cannibal cults. The untold stories of ritual slaughter and vanishing bloodlines. Prologue. A whisper in the pines. In the dense, damp forests of rural Kentucky, legends speak of a family that devoured itself into extinction. Locals won't say the name after dark, the mere whisper draws chills. But the Buckner clan was only the beginning. Across the American landscape, tucked away from highways and city lights, lie the rotting remnants of cults whose rituals crossed every boundary of humanity. They weren't content with sacrifice. They craved flesh, blood, and the promise of forbidden power. This is the story of America's forgotten cannibal cults, of vanished bloodlines, hidden graves, and the terrible cost of secrecy. Chapter 1. The Buckner Clan and the Feast of the Eclipse. The Buckners settled in the Kentucky hills in the early 1800s, fleeing accusations of witchcraft in Virginia. Family journals, recovered in a police raid in 1974, reveal what really happened. The Buckners believed consuming the flesh of kin during lunar eclipses preserved their bloodline against disease and madness. Their rituals required absolute secrecy: a newborn's heart buried under the hearthstone, an uncle's thigh roasted over open flame, and the blood of a sister drank warm. Local disappearances from nearby towns sparked rumors. Travelers spoke of eyes watching from the treeline and strange chants carried by the wind. By 1890, the family had dwindled to a handful of inbred descendants. In the winter of 1893, the last Buckners vanished without trace, leaving only scorched earth and bones gnawed to splinters in the family cellar. When historians uncovered their story, they found the family Bible rewritten in blood, recording every feast. The final entry read simply, "Greater than, the blood grows thin. Tonight we become one." Chapter 2. The Church of Living Bone. In the dust-choked plains of Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl, another cult thrived. Officially, they were the Congregation of the Living Word, but survivors whispered their true name, the Church of Living Bone. Led by the self-proclaimed prophet Amos Red, the group believed that human bones, ground into ash and consumed with sacramental wine, could cleanse the soul of sin. They preached self-sacrifice and transubstantiation of the flesh, a twisted parody of communion. In 1935, after a brutal drought, 13 children went missing from neighboring farms. Witnesses later described midnight processions carrying writhing figures bound in burlap sacks. By 1937, a traveling preacher stumbled upon shallow graves behind the church, bones stripped clean, skulls cracked open for marrow. Red and his followers disappeared before the law arrived. Their wooden chapel burned to ash, but the carved symbols they left behind still scar the blackened stones. Chapter 3. The Bloodkeepers of Oregon. Hidden in the Cascade foothills, the Bloodkeepers emerged in the 1960s as a pseudo-spiritual commune. Their founder, Malcolm Voss, claimed descent from European nobility who practiced ritual cannibalism to preserve family power. The Bloodkeepers believed drinking human blood, specifically that of family members, transferred memory and spiritual strength. Their goal was to create a blood chain, an unbroken psychic lineage. Voss fathered children with multiple women in the cult. When a child turned 12, they participated in the anointing feast, where they drank blood tapped directly from a living relative, often their own mother or sibling. The cult evaded notice until 1982, when 2 teenage escapees alerted authorities. A raid on the commune revealed underground chambers, walls scrawled with genealogical charts, and jars of coagulated blood labeled with family names. Voss and the inner circle fled. Some say they remain hidden, waiting to rebuild their bloodline. Chapter 4. The Feast of Flesh in Appalachia. Between 1900 and 1930, isolated valleys in West Virginia and Tennessee whispered of a group known only as the Mountain Table. Local folklore told of gatherings on moonless nights, where kin butchered kin in rites to ensure crops and fertility. Anthropologists uncovered partial evidence in 1951, human bones buried beside livestock, knife marks consistent with butchery, and stone altars blackened by fire. The Mountain Table believed that consuming family preserved the soul within the clan, preventing it from wandering and becoming a vengeful spirit. Their rituals ended abruptly after an epidemic killed most members in 1931. The survivors, fearing exposure, burned records and vanished into the mountains. Today, some locals claim to see figures watching from ridge tops during certain nights, descendants keeping the old ways alive. Chapter 5. Vanishing Bloodlines and the Price of Secrecy. What draws these groups to cannibalism? Power, fear, desperation, a belief that consuming flesh bridges the gap between life and death. Many of these bloodlines ended by their own hand, genetic collapse, disease, or madness. Others live on, hidden among us, erasing evidence and marrying into new families to hide their history. Throughout America, forgotten farmhouses rot under moss and ivy. In their basements, scratched into stone or scrawled in old journals, lie the secrets of rituals meant to cheat death itself. But each vanished bloodline paid the same price. They consumed themselves into oblivion, victims of their own monstrous hunger. Epilogue. The Final Feast. In 2022, a lone hiker in rural Pennsylvania discovered an abandoned cellar. Among the debris, rusted chains, blood-stained stones, and a ledger titled The Last Supper. Its final entry, written in a shaky hand. Greater than, no children remain. The blood ends with me. Tonight, I dine alone. The truth of America's darkest cannibal cults isn't just what they did, it's what they believed, that blood is memory, flesh is power, and family is both prey and priest. Some stories are better left untold. But even in silence, they endure, hidden in our blood. If you'd like, I can expand this into a full-length manuscript, documentary script, or podcast outline, or add more cults, historical detail, and fictional interviews to deepen the horror and realism. Would you like me to continue?